I don't want to show the young man being shot on camera. The quality isn't really that good, so the violence isn't really that visible. But you can clearly see a young man just finished winning a fight against his friend, and as he's walking away, his friend shot him several times in the back and killed him in front of a bunch of witnesses. I mean, both of these young men actually. This is their neighborhood. This is their apartment complex. They are a part of the same gang. They are a part of the same clique. And to make a long story short, if you're not aware, this particular apartment complex is famous because it's the neighborhood of a bunch of famous rappers from Chicago. It's a very popular neighborhood in Chicago. And I don't want to really speak on this situation. I just want to segue this situation into a more important conversation. And yeah, the conversation is important because this young man, A-Roy, lost his life, and I hope that his family can go through the grieving process and find some type of closure and represent his life to the fullest in a spiritual form. But I think the reason why I want to speak on this video isn't because it's popular and it's trending on the internet. I want to speak on it because it reminds me of something that I tell people all the time. A lot of times people want to confront people. A lot of times people are wronged by people, deceived by people, misled by people, and their first instinct is to confront that person. They want to let that person know that they aren't going to make a fool of them. You know, you're not going to misuse me, you're not going to mislead me, you're not going to treat me any kind of way, you're going to respect me. A lot of people have that instinct, and I think it's just human nature to feel that way because none of us want to be made a fool of. But at the same time, you have to understand boundaries and you have to understand forward thinking. You have to understand that confronting somebody isn't really going to be conclusive. You're not going to achieve something good. You're not going to settle a dispute. You're not going to improve things. All you're going to do is make things worse. The best way to handle a conflict with somebody isn't by confronting them directly. It isn't by fighting them. It isn't by reacting to them. It's by understanding that this person is no good for you and moving on and leaving that person to be. Let them go off. A lot of times, weapons are involved in situations that make the situation fatal. I mean, the access to weapons really makes things terribly because there could be a situation just like this where two friends physically fight, and then a few minutes later they make up, they speak about it, they seek some sort of closure and understanding about the fight and become friends again. But when somebody has access to a firearm, when they're in this highly emotive state, when they're highly agitated, when they're highly stressed, they're going to make a split-second decision without thinking. You know, because like I always say, when you're angry and you're highly emotional, your brain's capacity is filled up 100%. And there's no room for any other kind of thinking to take place. You know, you're not going to be able to be intelligent. You're not going to be able to think calm. You know, you're not going to be able to be calm. You're not going to be able to relax. Your brain is taking over all of your emotions. Your anger is taking up all of your brain's capacity. It's 100% filled with anger. So you're not going to be able to feel anything else but irrational thoughts. And that's why it's important to learn techniques to calm yourself down. Because a lot of times when situations like this happen, the person who kills their friend or kills somebody, they regret it. And oftentimes they kill themselves because they can't live with the regret. And when they get caught by the police, they cry, they feel guilty, they try to reach out to the victim's family and apologize for it. They try to let them know that they got caught up in the heat of the moment. And it's easy to avoid that. I mean, I understand when we get angry as human beings, we black out sometimes. We get so angry, and the first thing that we want to do is just react. But we have to learn techniques to calm ourselves down. You know, when you feel that anger rising throughout your body, like, you know, it's like steam, it's like smoke, you can feel it coming on. You know, you have to learn techniques and employ techniques to calm yourself down. You have to get away from the situation that's making you upset, and you have to constantly remind yourself, I don't want to do anything foolish, I don't want to do anything foolish. Whatever works for you, but you have to actually make an attempt to calm yourself down. You know, but most of the time in situations like this, the person is not attempting to calm themselves down. They're not trying to do anything to de-escalate their anger. You know, they're on autopilot. They're just reacting. You know, they're just in this animalistic mode. But you are a human being. You have a brain. You have a consciousness. You can think. You can think your way out of that anger. It might be difficult to do, but you can do it. That's what separates human beings from animals. We have instincts. We have these inherent passions and these inherent natures, but at the same time we've been blessed with a brain so we can think and overpower our natural urges. We're not victims of our passion. We're not victims of our adrenaline like animals. We can actually think and counteract those natural passions that arise in us when we get emotional. So rest in peace to the guy A-Roy. And I'm not going to say that this is a gun problem, because it's not really a gun problem. It's a people problem, you know. And unfortunately, angry, emotional people make terrible mistakes when they have access to weapons. So here's some advice. If you're involved in a relationship with somebody, don't get a gun. Because a lot of times people in relationships, they know that they have somebody who's emotional, that they're dating, you know, but they'll decide to get a gun. And they think they're getting that gun to protect themselves from robbers, home invaders, threats. But in reality, that gun is most likely going to be used against either you or your spouse. Peace.